Now we've got the pontoon closer to the ramp here. We're going to check a few things. This boat's in the water. It'd be handier to do it, of course, on a trailer. Underneath there, we're going to put this scissor-lift trailer. Now you're going to go, of course, want to measure how far the pontoons are apart from there to the inside of here. Also, when you're looking underneath here, you want to check out the floor. See all the cross members. And I see some wires that have been hanging in, dropping down. Of course, I don't want to pinch with this when I lift up on the scissor trailer. So I'm going to, be aware of that before I try to load this. But I'm not swimming in this ramp, and I'm going to take my chances, and I think I know where I'm going. Again, my scissor lift trailer is 42 inches wide. That would put me right about there. And I'd say I'm pretty safe with eyeballing it down that log. Are you look all right down there? We got lots of room on either side,
yeah.
Okay? So let's move up to the trailer, get it ready, be dropped in. What I like about the Tritons is the axles are back further. Now the axles on this Triton are Tandem running gear, torsion axles, and we put brakes on, surge brakes on one axle. You're handling a 24, 26 foot pontoon, brakes are pretty important. Now we got those rollers on the side of the Triton. These are to protect the inner pontoons from the trailer as you're backing down in. We might want to split them open a little bit more than 43. That's what the top rails are outside to outside is, so we're going to bring it out to probably max what these can spin out to. I'll set them on there a little loose, so if I am too tight, as I'm backing in, they'll just fold in and find the sweet spot. Then I'll tighten them up later. Your end rollers here, again, protecting around the perimeter of that tubing to let it roll in fast. Now scissor lifts are called cantilever trailers. They lift the boat up and down. And we'll get into the winching it down, getting it ready for loading. Now the self-braking winch can run clockwise and counterclockwise to give you less mechanisms to play with. Triton stepped it up a bit with this. It's called a braking winch. So we're going to show you here, just pretty easy, dropping it down, pull the pin. This is for transport. You gotta have a pin in safety box so that it doesn't collapse in transit. It must be pinned all the time, even with nothing on it. Now it's brand new, the paint's just started. We're in here. That's where tube and pin goes. We're going to drop it down. See folks, this self-braking gets away on you, it'll break itself. A little Triton engineering. All the way down. And oh, she's gonna go right down. There. So we're gonna slide that in underneath that deck boat. Alright, so we're gonna measure. We want this to all ride level. So we want to make sure that ball height, when loaded, is going to be set in the rear end of the truck down properly and everything's nice and level, so you don't have your pontoons more forward than back. Catch that ball height from the axles. So that ball's at the end of this frame, so we're about 16 inches, which is a pretty normal ball height. on trailers, 16-inch bolt height. Now, you gotta remember, that's empty. Now when you load this up, we're gonna drop down. So I got the ball height at 20 inches, because there's a lot of forward weight on this trailer. As I said earlier, the axles are set back for proper handling on highways, less sway. So I want my ball height to be a little bit higher. We'll say the center, the ball height to that, top of that is 21.5. Here's my frame. I'm gonna be 4 inches higher than it should be. Remember, we measured the bottom of the frame, and that ball height is, well, 2.5 to the bottom of this. Then another 2 inches there, so 4.5. Swing up jack is handy. Once you find that ball and set her down on it, you don't got the rest of the jack in view. It just swings up. Once you get the weight down, watch your toes. Again, the ball wheel is nice. Trailer around, loaded or empty. Watch your fingers. The surge assembly acts on pressure as you brake with your tow vehicle, like the trailer and the boat wanting to push into your tow vehicle. So it has an actuator in there. Of course, with that two opposing forces, when you brake your tow vehicle and your trailer wants to come into the back, it uses that to move fluid power back to the surge brakes. So, giving you the surge brake system as opposed to an electric brake system, which would have to be hooked up to a brake box in the forward of the vehicle on the dash. We'll get into that later. Most of these trailers going in the water require surge brakes, as electricity and water just don't mix. Fresh coupler, big grease them out of the factory. Has to get worn in, hasn't been used before, it's fresh off the assembly line. It's going to be a little stiff until you clamp them over a few times. Grease your ball. Flip the jack up. Now we could get into chalking the wheels. It's a good idea when you get loaded, but we're pretty level here.
Yeah.
Fold it over. Always make sure that that ball and that coupler is locked on. Number one. The reason you can tell it's not locked on, you can't get the pin through. You can't get the pin through, it's not locked on. Safety pin, go over a big bump. She hits here, bounces that off, that's what you put a safety pin for. Number two is always put the safety pin in. After the ball's locked, always put the safety pin in. Surge brakes have a emergency system that if you do become detached from your vehicle, you're hanging from your chains that you want to remember to put on too. Plus the brakes on. Hopefully saves your trailer and your boat from coming through your rear window. Okay, well, since we're going in the water, I don't like putting electricity in water, so I'm going to leave the plug unplugged. I don't need lights to tell me when I'm stopping when it's in the ramp. You won't forget to put that back on, which should be put on always when you do your hookup, your 3-step, 4-step stages. Make sure that the hydro's hooked there. You're going to do that with the circle check after we get loaded before we go down the highway. So here we got the chains crossed, pins locked, the jack's up. We're going to save the hydro, 12-volt power. In our part of our circle check before we go on the highway, checking lug nuts and trailers, indicators, doing a circle check. Okay, well, we're getting closer. We got the trailer and the boat almost touching here. Came down the ramp, took a look underneath. Everything looks clear. It's going to slide in just beautiful. keeping this long trailer nice and straight as you go between the logs is a concern. That's why we're going to adjust the rollers. Alright, here, that's why those rollers here are already built in, because you're going to be collapsed and you don't want the end of the top of the lift trailer touching your inner pontoons. So, we got the boat tied back on one side and also tied back on the other side, so a little bit of wind, it's not pushing our stern around. Again, at Clark's Marina, they built a beautiful ramp here, and having a good ramp to do your initial pull to set the trailer and boat together is key. Trying it in your only option might be a tough ramp, but hopefully this video will help you be more prepared in a rougher ramp. We got concrete going all the way back. Got lots of run out for the trailer. It is a longer trailer. The tandems aren't going to go past the end of the ramp and into the mud, which on a rougher ramp you might want to check. Being that they're torsion axles, if they do go over the end of the ramp or they have a higher ground clearance, you don't have the spring deck underneath them, you know, catching the metal grate or concrete or rocks, what may have you down there. So again, another top shelf product from TRITON that they're putting out with the torsion axles standard and tandem running gear. Much more sturdier than a single axle. Here we are again, slipped in underneath very well. TRITON was able to collapse down to the same height of the ball, in which with those 22-inch pontoons we didn't scrub out here along the front of the deck with the trailer. Now I have a 26-foot TRITON trailer here for a 26-foot boat. It also takes 24 very nicely, so I pulled back a bit from the bumpers so I don't come into the cantilever. Now, here we are stopped, looking down underneath. All looks good. I've caught about, well, the first 2 4 joists or cross members. Now we're going to touch pretty much on to the rest of them. My end of my trailer is sticking out a little bit past the boat. Again, it's a bigger trailer than what you might need for a 24-foot boat. We do have 22s to 24s, which shorten the frame. Now, looking in underneath, the rollers I set just loose. As they come up, they're going to just touch the pontoons, and we will adjust them later and finish them off and tighten them up. Looks good.
All right, let's move.
Pinned off immediately, safety pin back. There we go. We're secure. Alright, now we got her pinned up and locked, ready to pull out. Of course, we lifted up the motor and make sure we have no contact with the lower unit. Tie it back up, backed in. We got lots of room for flotation once we lower it down into the water. Remember folks, these cantilever trailers always drop down going away from the winch post, so you're going to gain about another 18 inches, 2 feet more into the ramp. So self-braking winch that Triton's offering, we're just going to wind it off like that. You can hear it clicking when we tighten it. Unpin it, ready to go. Here she goes. Now everybody worries about the winch post and the winch handle getting away on you because of the weight. As you can see, I can let go of it. Even in its most pressured drop like that. Now again, the pontoons are at the right level to take the float, so you're not putting too much pressure on the winch, but it does have the self-braking to stop it from spinning out of control. And we're floating. Pretty slick. Alright, now we're out, we're looking down in. We can see our rollers can be turned out. Suck up the slack, tightened off. We know where to adjust them. Lots of clearance between the bottom of the pontoon and the ground. Now when we do go out and rest her for the winter, we're going to block it and set her in a nice cozy spot for the winter. That's what the cantilever trailer does for you. It gets it down to a level that you can work on it. You have all your pontoons exposed to be cleaned and refurbished over the winter.